Hey guys, it's Brandon. Welcome back.
And Carrie's here too.
So I saw this episode on Netflix from a show called Three Body Problem. And although the show is very telling with a lot of different symbolism and things that people are experiencing here in the realm, I wanted to compare it mainly to our situation and how we have been attacked through the three body problem, which would be the mind, the heart, and the gut, to be controlled by, be it by food, be it by a false sense of security in the fact of lack and love outside of yourself, and how marriage is pushed, and also the mind, which is kind of the more tricky of the ones to control, because that's just a rabbit hole that you can get lost in for days, spinning at the bottom of the pit, and you're just going to go round and round trying to learn about the realm and not thinking to yourself, what am I, who am I, why am I here, how do I leave, and etc. So when I think of the three body problem, I think about red, green, blue, RGB, because that would be your lower chakra, middle chakra, upper chakra. And then it would also be the square at the top. Around the head, it'd be the center heart, which is the portal, the circle. And then you'd have your lower, masculine and feminine. So you'd have your triangle pointing up or pointing down. And I just thought that would be a good topic for conversation for today.
I like it. I think it's a good topic. I think it's one that obviously needs to be discussed at some length. I think that uh, I like your thing on the mind, the heart, and the gut. I think these are the main places they attack us with our thinking, our feeling, and our fleshly appetites. And so those, like you said, correspond to what they consider the lower chakra systems. I personally don't do the chakra thing. I don't do the Christos juice flipping up your back because I got an issue with, their whole retention program. Of if you're a male, you can participate in that, I guess. And so, it just doesn't make no sense to me at all. Of course, then I look at the word spine and I see penis there, so it's kind of a
Yep.
whole different,
Rearrange those
whole
letters.
different thing. So no, I do not do the chakra thing, but in its value in aligning or being able to pinpoint different areas of our body in this three body system that we are in. Not saying it's a three, body on top, but it's the three parts in this body that they do use for power and control. And so, if we're not able to discern this and not able to take our own power back with these power centers instead of chakras, I like to call them power
I
centers,
like that.
then we're nothing more than falling victim and right back into the very programming that they've put out there for us to participate in.
And then that makes me think about healing, healing the masculine, healing the feminine, the inner child. Again, three body problem. So you would have the cravings, you would have the love, and you would have the patterns, the mental capacity, the awareness. And when you awaken, it's almost like you get bombarded with all of this information. You seek all these things, and then you get to a certain level, and you realize like you don't have to be involved in the worldly things. Like the character Jesus in the Bible says, I'm in the world, I'm not of the world." That statement couldn't be truer from whoever stated it originally, because you can get lost in that and choosing a side, and like Carrie said, feeding the carnal mind and the fleshly desires. You can get lost in all of that. Be it, I always go back to addiction because I think it's a big hurdle that a lot of people have to get around or past through, alcohol or pornography or substance abuse as far as medications go, too much TV or video games. It's all the same thing. It's all poisoning those three centers. And when we begin our healing journey as the ones who are true, aware, and awake, you have to focus on those three more so than ever, because so easily things will get, I guess I better say it, you'll get tested. You'll get tested as to your resolve and how serious you are. When somebody wants to stop drinking or stop smoking, the next thing that happens is somebody's offering them a free drink or a cigarette, and you're like, dude, I just told you I'm quitting. So you get tested by your spirit to make sure that you're all in, that you're seeking the trueness of wholeness that you truly are, and letting go of these worldly items.
I think there's some truth in that. I'm not. Now, I used to think that it was my own spirit doing that to me, but anymore I'm leaning more toward that the predictable wants us to remain predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And when we make a choice that is outside the lines of that predictability, they have to, their fail safe is set to bring about situations and events that would sway your path and put you back in order. In other words, so that they can continue to have control and power over those choices and decisions we make by doing their testing. And so that's where I think our own spirit, if we listen to, will guide us away from those things. But our flesh, it's a big battle between the spirit of the flesh, which is the false Eve spirit, which is a whole nother program, and versus our own higher self, quote unquote Eve, split off spirit who resides somewhere else. And that's part of the big split. Mm-hmm. And that I'd have to probably draw in order to understand. But I think that it's very important to purify those power centers so that they don't have power over you. You then have power over them. The entities in the program will continue to offer, the tests, if you will, to see if you are serious about it. And so what it shows me is that when we resolve in our own heart without question, and we are standing in our absolute, that I am not doing this anymore. I will not have these thoughts. I will not this and that. And even higher than that, I think, is I am thinking this. I am thinking this, and replace it with what we want to be manifesting. There's so much power in that. And when we're able to turn down those things that used to, they're like tentacles, and they leach into us and connect. When we have nothing more in common with these things, they have no power and no control over us whatsoever. There has to be a commonality. Again,
like things go together.
Like things go together. And if there's something in common, there's a passage in the New Testament where Jesus crosses over the ocean or the sea, the big lake, and they go to the cemetery, I guess, and oh boy comes out of the cemetery. The man was begging Jesus for help. The demons in him bow up and said, hey, what do we have in common with you? Now I'm paraphrasing. But if you look at it correctly, they're trying to find a point of entry to whereby they can tempt that particular Jesus. And so that's what really got me into thinking of if I don't have anything in common with my enemy, these things are my enemy, I don't care what anyone says, then if I have nothing in common with them, then they can't see me. And where I got that from is that there's several times in the New Testament where Jesus would be laying down some real truth in their temples against their teachings and exposing what they are doing. He didn't make himself a part of it. He was separating himself out. And so they would pick him up and carry him outside, or have a big rush of people, and they usher him outside. And in a few cases, it was they carried him to a cliff. And it says that he just walked out through the midst of them. And I think that's where, when we are that detached, that there's nothing left for them to attach to.
Right.
And they can't perceive us. then we'll have fun times.
Yeah, it's like we said in a previous video, you almost become invisible.
Yeah.
When you don't show fear or let their intimidation take you over, they don't know what to do with that. It's like the whole narcissist thing. It's they want to make you erupt. They want to make you, they want to trigger you. So they'll gaslight you, and they're hoping that you pop off, because then you just did it to yourself rather than them doing it, when all they're doing is trying to egg you on sneakily.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, and so when you can start to pick out the things that we call them triggers,
Yeah.
things that will cause you to really blow off, or yell at this person, or be ugly here, or honk your horn angrily down the highway, whatever
Mm-hmm.
things like that are. And some of them, if you think about it, really seem kind of silly, but when you're in the midst of it, it's like, I feel better because I let that energy out. Uh, no, you've just fed something that is attached to you. And so when we feed it, we strengthen their attachment to us, and thus their influence over, and their insurance that we will do that again.
And that gets into the idea of like the whole, what do you call it, cord cutting off those cords, those tentacles. Because I feel like once one gets in, I'm just visualizing it here. Like one gets in, and it's hooked you to whatever the vice or whatever the thing is, the media, it doesn't matter. And then the more you let it simmer, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And that's the thing with like these people that do the go to the pay people to do the mind clearing or spirit soul clearings and things like that. That may be all good and fine, but here's the deal, is that we're opening yourself up to whatever attachments those people have if they're not true and pure themselves. And number one, and number two, there's the passage about that when a house is cleansed, or when the demons are cast out, the house, the vessel, the person's body, their soul,
the temple
is cleansed. Yes. It says the demon goes out into dry places, and they wander because that's their nature, and they're always looking for a home. And so looking for a home, then the demon remembers, oh, well, I had a good home over there. And so he goes and gets 7 of his buddies and then returns back over there because he realized, why am I out here wandering around? Hey, guys, come on. I got a good place for us to go. And then they go, and it says because that vessel had been left empty, they did the cleansing and the clearing, but yet likely continued on with the same things they'd been doing. And so the same stuff starts coming back in. And so had they filled themselves with holiness, WHOLINESS, then those things would have fallen completely off their radar because they would not have been able to detect that.
So what I find most important when it comes to the 3-body problem is detaching, detoxing, purifying those centers, those power centers. And everybody's journey in that is going to be different. Some people are going to be alcoholics or gaming addictions or whatever the case is. And I think a big part of that is sitting by yourself and contemplating what things that you feel like you need to let go of in that now moment.
I think you're spot on. And so what I'd add to that is we're calling them power centers. And so we have to get to a point where we discern for ourselves, what do I truly have power over, and what am I truly in control of without trying to make myself feel like I've got control over something and lying to myself. What am I actually demonstratingly able to verify that I have control, as in I either A, don't need that thing anymore, or B, I've lost any cravings or desire for it, or C, I can do it and hop right back out of it.
It's almost like you just made me think it's know it, walk it, speak it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where we get our own resonance, because our voice is a resonator. And so we start to vibrate with those frequencies that we put out. Everything is truly about frequencies. But the things that we have to discern is, what do we really have control over within ourselves? I'm not talking about imposing on anybody. I'm talking about for my own self. What do I really have control over versus what do I think, or what do I tell myself I have control over?
What do I believe I have control
exactly over? And so then that leads directly into, what things do I have zero control over within my own self? And that's where, like you said, the addictions and things, can get to that point at some level, I think. And then, of course, in my line of thinking, there's other entities involved with those things when we have yielded to them so many times over and over and gone against our own higher self, our own Holy Spirit, telling us you need to think about that, or probably not a good idea, or you need to go over here, not over there. And we say, no, I can handle this. I got this. Or, you don't need to do that. No, I got it. I can do it. I can handle it. And then we wind up sucked up right back into it. And so then that thing we allow. And it's all about everything here has to be done by agreement. We think that everything is strictly imposed on us, but and some things truly are. Let me back up a little bit. Some things truly are, but some things we agree to either by negative behavior, not negative behavior, by doing nothing, not standing against it, or not standing for it. And so we do nothing regarding ourselves. I'm not talking about social things, social agendas, and things of that nature.
It's like the idea of, I'm going to keep my side of the street clean. I'm not going to go to your side of the street and try and clean up your mess. That's something that's on you to purify, to clean up. I got to worry about my alignment, my purification process, and detaching from those things that made me the ego self, if you will.
Yeah, and I'm I think ego out of whack is borders on narcissistic tendencies.
Totally agree.
And so ego in balance is something that brings, we're talking about the three body thing, id, ego, and super ego. It brings a degree of balance. But again, which of those do we relegate the most control to?
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be some amount of agreement between the three mental states, the three physical states, the three behavioral states, the three thinking. It's all intertwined.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's been our presentation today on the three body problem and how you can be more aware of what's happening and what's going on, and how you can find solutions within your own self to relegate and get back into your true self.